Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. As this is likely the last video of the day, barring any kind of big emergency, in which case I'll probably just do a little flash video on it. I would ask at this point, if you are a regular viewer who is yet to subscribe, please do subscribe. We keep getting pushed down in the algorithm because we're political, and when you subscribe, it massively helps the channel. It really helps get the message out there, the truth out there, and it keeps these buggers firmly on their toes. So do please hit that subscribe button and absolutely assist the channel to do that. Thank you very much. We'll move on here to what I think is a nice way to finish the day. We started the day with a nice light fluffy article, and we're going to finish the day with a nice light fluffy article, but it's one I think that will bring a lot of smiles to a lot of people. And that is that Humza Yousaf has been subjected to some polling. And it turns out that he's not as popular as he thinks he is. Now, we all know how awful he and his entire party are. But his personal rating has fallen. And when you look at the numbers, it's by almost 20%. Even he must start seeing now that the gig is up. And it's about time he packed his bags and went off and did something more rewarding for both him and indeed the country. Him simply being out of the country has improved the mood somewhat, even though it is at public expense. And I did the video on that earlier, and I do hope that you've all signed the petition. But we'll have a look at this and see how bad it is for him. And it's going to get worse. Here you go. So Humza Yousaf in polling peril, as most Scots unhappy with his leadership and indeed his party, amid numerous SNP scandals, with probably more to come. Let's face it, you don't think the ones that have happened so far is all the bad that there is. There's a lot more stuff that's probably hidden and that will eventually come out. These things always do. The truth is notorious for coming out, isn't it? The First Minister is not liked by the majority of Scots, as his reign in Bute House has been overshadowed by various scandals, including, of course, Operation Branchform, and the Matheson one, and the ferries, and the NHS, and the missing billions, etc, etc. And it isn't the end of it. There will be far more to come, especially when the police start reporting on the whole of the Jordan Linden affair and who knew what. That's another whole bag of worms ready to be spread evenly across the whole of the SNP, because it goes from bottom to top, and literally the very top. Anyway, most Scots are unhappy with Humza Yousaf's leadership, as the struggling First Minister has failed to impress the country since taking over from Nicola Sturgeon. I will just point out he's struggling at the moment. He's sitting there in business class at 30,000 feet, sipping champagne, but about to go into a Muslim country, and he has to work out at what point he puts that champagne down and just sticks to quaffing the old caviar and pretends that he hasn't had a drop of it at all. Because, you know, can't be seen as a good Muslim drinking all that champagne in a Muslim country, even though Dubai is not dry, but it's still frowned upon for people like him. Anyway, the SNP leader has been in post for 8 months, but his approval rating has plummeted in the last 6 of them. Well, there you go. He had 60 days, what they call it, the honeymoon period, and then it all came crashing and burning and falling around his ankles. But then it's his own fault. He's done nothing to stop it. He's not been a leader, has he? He could have stopped the whole Michael Matheson thing day one by demanding a resignation. Didn't do it. And look how much damage has been caused by him sticking by a man who refuses to hand over his iPad because he knows what's on it. He's become engulfed in numerous scandals during his time at Bute House, mostly involving his party's misdeeds. He's also become infamous for his numerous U-turns, hapless interviews where he often makes mistakes, and that's not to say all the lies, the many times he's told both the Holyrood, the press and the people. Lies after lies after lies. Can't help himself though. It's the SNP way. Never tell the truth when a lie will do. According to new polling by Ipsos, 48% of Scots are dissatisfied with Mr Yousaf's overall performance. I'm surprised it's only 48. But only 35% are actually satisfied. And with 14 having no opinion, this gives him a net satisfaction rating of -13. It is also a decrease from the last time the pollsters ran a similar survey, with 44% of those that time saying that they were unhappy. So it's gone, you know, up more. There's more people unhappy. It basically means he's gone from a disapproval rating of -11 to -13. It's a near 20% drop. It isn't good. It's getting worse. And you have to say he has no way of stopping it because things are only getting worse on a daily basis. There's more problems are happening. As more figures are released, the NHS is getting worse. The education results are getting worse. Public finances are getting worse. He's not even here doing his job. He's gone off on a jolly paid for by the public for no reason whatsoever. That's not going to sit well with people. So when all these other things are added in, it will be even worse next time. Surely there must come a point when the party say to him, Humza, you had a fair crack of the whip. Now move along and let someone else see if they can do better. Of course they won't, because the party is what the party is. A bunch of crooks. Anyway, the First Minister has presided over his own party's massive slide in the polls, with most polling companies putting Labour either neck and neck or winning slightly. And when you think where they were when he started, that is appallingly bad. He's been involved in numerous scandals and gaffes during his time in Butte House, kicking off, of course, with Operation Branchform. Just weeks after he was crowned SNP leader, his former boss Peter Murrell was arrested by cops. And then, of course, Mrs Sturgeon. And then, of course, Colin Beattie. The only one I'm very surprised, and I've mentioned this before, but the only one I'm very surprised wasn't arrested was Osborne. How the hell she never got arrested, nobody knows. She's got her sticky little fingers all over it. He also failed to take decisive action against a number of rebels within the SNP, with Angus MacNeil and Fergus Ewing in open revolt against him. And no wonder. And they're not the only ones, of course. It took weeks before the former was expelled and the latter was suspended for a week. Although he's still fighting it, and he hasn't been brought to heel either. He's back and he's still not a happy bunny. And, we'll have to see what's happening with him. Anyway, adding to this, huge issues with the nationalist finances, with them being at least 800,000 in the red and getting worse. An absolute thrashing at Rutherglen and Hamilton West, which we sat up and watched that. I don't know if you all sat up. I mean, I know a lot of us did. We sat up and watched that. And when the results came in, it was like grinning, like a Cheshire cat. You had, Keith Brown was there, and he looked like glum. He looked like somebody's stolen his sweets. And sitting next to him, of course, was Dame Jackie Bailey. And she's like the cat that got the cream. 20% swing. It was a marvellous evening. He's mired in yet another crisis due to his health secretary, Michael Matheson, trying to charge the taxpayer £11,000 for his, let's just say, his bill for him enjoying himself, because I don't think it's everything is clear yet. And of course, there's all his lying and failing to sack people and general sort of sleazy dishonesty that is mired and built into the very DNA of the SNP. According to Ipsos, a majority of voters in Scotland continue to remain sceptical of both Rishi Sunak and Keir Starmer. Nobody likes either of them, really. Nobody likes Rishi because he's a non-tax-paying billionaire with a green card and they don't trust him to do the right thing. He also has no sort of contact with normal people. He doesn't know what normal people are like. And Keir Starmer just comes across a bit slimy and oleaginous, a bit of a slug, really. And of course, if he does become Prime Minister, he won't be Prime Minister for long, I suspect. There'll be a coup within the Labour Party and they'll put someone far, far further to the left in charge. That wouldn't surprise me. Scottish Labour leader Anna Sawar is seen favourably, though, with a 3% plus score. Wow. But look at that, though. Rishi Sunak, minus 53. Boy, time to give up, I think. The polling company is an outlier when it comes to Westminster election voting, as they give the Nats a whopping 10% lead over Labour. I think they may have misread that one, very much so. Most other survey organisations make it much closer, and some even putting Labour ahead. Ipsos say the SNP are on for 40%, which is down 1 point on May, with Labour improving by 1 to 30. Tories are on 15% according to them. But I mean, Labour and the Tories could get together, make Anna Sawar the First Minister, going into an agreement, a supply and demand agreement, and oust the SNP. Not a problem. You would have it would be a technically Labour government in name only, very strong Tory influence. But odd as that may seem, It would mean that there wouldn't be an SNP government and that the Greens would be gone forever. They would have zero say. And that, of course, is to everyone's betterment. Is that even a word? But you know what I mean. Even if it isn't a word, you know exactly what I mean. Anyway, there we go. So, yeah. He's a loser who's losing. And all he's doing at the moment is sitting over there, you know, quaffing that champagne, eating that caviar, sitting in business class at 30,000 feet, thinking that we are a bunch of wankers because we're paying for it. Let us charge him when he comes back. And by charge, I mean, don't just mean the money. I mean police charges for thievery. He's got no invite. He's got no right. It's without his area of responsibility. It's a foreign matter, therefore comes under Westminster. He shouldn't be there. And the fact that he is means he's abusing public funds. That is a crime. So let's show how popular he truly is by making him attend an interview without coffee at a local police station upon arrival. Thank you very much for watching. I'm going to wander up, finish this video. We'll come up and I'll finish the video, and I'll knock it off for the night. Less, of course, there's anything important, especially with the Matheson. He may resign, but we'll see. Anyway, thank you very much. Yeah, as I say, that'll round it off for the evening. Thank you very much for watching today. You've all been very kind. Do please hit the subscribe button. Do please hit the like button. That really, really helps the channel. And we are pushing on. We're getting up to a number, and 8,000 subscribers before Christmas is not impossible. But it is all down, of course, to you good people. So if you are someone who watches and yet to subscribe, let's help grow the channel. Let's help keep the truth out there. So do please hit the subscribe. Until tomorrow, unless there's some breaking news, until tomorrow, have a very good evening. I will speak to you tomorrow. Enjoy your evening and goodbye.